This is the Disconnected Bodies podcast, hosted by Pablo Colella. Deep dives for the curious creative.
So firstly, it's congratulations on Arts Council funding for Muslim Artists Academy.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to you, Pablo. It was a combined effort.
Really
enjoy it.
The process was smooth from our side. Really interesting as well. And I know, was it Karen from Arts Council?
Yeah.
She gave.
Karen was really supportive. And I think for me, I've never gone for access support before. And we were lucky because with Karen, we got quite a lot of support from the Arts Council, just in terms of saying, some a bit of direction with where you want to go with stuff, and just tweaking the application. But the access support was the real game changer for me. I think that was really good because as a creative, I've got loads of ideas, and I'm quite visual, and writing it all down, getting it all down on paper was for me a difficult part. I've been doing it myself for a few years on different projects, things like this, but just having a bit of an outside eye really kind of helped. So that kind of process for me was one, I didn't even know it existed. So I don't know how much the Arts Council are pushing that in terms of social media or PR and things like this, but in the South Asian communities or the BAME communities especially, we weren't aware that you could get support like that. And maybe that's because we're not having those discussions in our communities about support that's out there, right. Especially for people with, you could call it learning difficulties or neurodiverse, or people who just need a bit of support. And even when I was actually writing the application, I was feeling a little bit like, shall I disclose this, or shall I say that I find it a bit difficult, or I find it more difficult to put into words what I want to say than talking and things like this. But yeah, that process was pretty simple, to be honest, streamlined. It wasn't too difficult. And then once we kind of got you guys on board, everything else was just really smooth in terms of the portal and everything like that.
Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say, to be honest, about the access support team. Without knowing them personally, it seems like they're quite a small team, but they do care to make sure that the funding, the money for the funding is going to the right people. So they seem to be, sometimes they ask a few extra questions to make sure that that person is suitable for the support, but generally they seem to be very supportive. And if they can't give the financial support for access support, they often put you in the direction, of the guidelines online or the application support. And so they do seem to care about the people who are putting their names forward for that support, that access support.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I mean, we were lucky because Karen Boardman, she was the kind of grant officer for us for the Arts Council, and she wasn't our dedicated grants officer. She was more kind of just someone we met through or connected through the Factory International, and she just come on board and she's got the deal. I'd love to kind of help and see it through. She's moved on to another organisation now. I think she was just helping us as she was leaving. So she was really, really positive. And then I think the access support team understand that people who are accessing, these facilities are already, going over some challenges and things like this. So I think it's amazing, kind of going through that, and I'm just really happy that we got the grant. We've had a few delays. We got it in January, but we've had a few delays just because of religious holidays and festivals and things like this. But everything's in line in terms of for us to start delivery in the next couple of months, hopefully.
And how's that going to help the Muslim community in Manchester, for anyone who's unaware of Alchemy Arts Muslim Artists Academy?
I think it's really important I think optics are massively important in our community. When they see things that represent them or they belong to, they're more inclined to engage with that. And I know there's organisations like Factory International, Whitworth Art Gallery, Contact Theatre. These are great venues that are doing amazing work, but are they reflecting the audience? Is the audience that they kind of engage in reflecting the communities that they're based in? And I don't think that's always the right way. And I think sometimes Muslim communities feel alienated. And I was really conscious, and I know you know this, Pablo, as well, is that I didn't want to make this project a religious project.
Yeah.
It isn't a religious project. It isn't something where we're going to push faith down people's throats and things like that. It's not about that. It's about creating safe spaces for people to access something that they love. And it could be different barriers people might have to access, a service or a support. And I wanted to create that. What I found was over the years, we were doing creative, innovative projects, and a lot of people from established careers were coming into, working with us. So that might be people who are GPs, people who are accountants, lawyers, solicitors. And I was always saying, like, these people have got amazing talent. And as the conversations grew, they said that I didn't think the arts was a space where I could, one, make a career out of it, and two, whether it was part of allowed in our faith. So once we kind of overcame that barrier to say, actually, it's nothing to do with a faith issue. It's something that is encouraged within our faith, actually, to be involved in arts and creativity. And once that barrier was gone, I realized that there's so many kind of hidden artists or forgotten artists that are reclaiming their kind of passion for arts. And I wanted to kind of create a platform where, one, we could have a space to be creative and have fun and just learn. But two, which is the theme of this year, really, Pablo, is the reclaiming the narrative. There's a lot of things happening in our world or communities at the moment that we are privy to and we're hearing about in the news and things, but we're not owning the narrative. We're just kind of being part of it and responding to situations that are happening. And I think it's really important, especially in history. It's important for communities that are being represented and spoken about. They should be claiming their narrative. They should be in charge of the narrative of the stories that are being put out there. And that's what I really want to do. I want to create a space for people, like a incubator space, or a creative space where people can have directors, producers, writers that are telling our own stories, and then it goes into the mainstream. I don't know if I mentioned, Pablo, my background is in film, television, and theatre. So I've been an actor or an artist for 20 years, and I would be part of like high-profile dramas like Bradford Riots, Britz, Four Lions, and films, and then every time I would work on projects like that, I would be what they would call in the industry the talent of representing the stories, but I wouldn't be involved in the script writing, or I wouldn't be involved in the producing or the directing, and that was majority of the time a white middle class person. There's nothing wrong with that because people have got skills and they tell stories. But I want to create that ecosystem for the Muslim community where they don't feel as though they have to kind of compromise their faith and ethics.
Mm. Yeah, it's amazing. And you've clearly had. How long have you been going now? Because you've got a lot
We
under your
we've been
belt.
yeah, we've been going for about 12 years. So I kind of it's funny, I kind of set up Alchemy just as a breathing space, or dipping my toe into kind of alternative education, do a few drama workshops to kind of help people who are kind of on the verge of offending or naughty or get involved in difficulties, because I knew arts would be able to help with my own background. And then it just kind of flew into so many different things. It went into kind of women's empowerment, health and well-being, dementia, mental health, and also around kind of creating space for people in the arts as well. So it's just grown organically, and I think we're in that position now where we're looking to develop into a charity. So Alchemy would hopefully, and it's part of this application really, that we want Alchemy to kind of develop into Alchemy Trust. So all the kind of charitable projects are under that kind of brand of ours, and we can still do our social enterprise stuff with Alchemy Arts and trading and developing workshops and training and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I'll mention the website after as well, but
Yeah.
alchemyarts.co.uk. If you go on there, you can see how much you're doing, like the programs. In fact, the youth program is something I wanted to talk to you about. Well, let me get the proper name for it. The Youth Empowerment Program.
Yeah,
That,
yeah. It's a youth violence program.
yeah,
It was funded by Pathways. I think it's called the Pathways Fund, but it's the global. They're under. There's quite a few organisations that have come together to kind of support. Sorry, the Phoenix Way Fund. It's called the Phoenix Way Fund. And that was kind of an entity that was set up for BME organisations to kind of take the lead on things that are happening on the ground. There's a Billy initiative that are also kind of part of that, and it's the Global Something Fund, I think it is, that are the overall Global Children Fund or something, they are the kind of the overarching kind of funders. And we developed a kind of, last summer of 2024, there were some riots, race riots, and things that were affecting the South Asian community, and we were already being commissioned by then, and we also noticed during Ramadan the year before that we were having videos circulating around violence and young people just kicking off, and I'm thinking this is probably, this is the most religious time of the year, and we've got people sharing videos of people going to the mosque at night fighting with each other. So it wasn't even race riots, it was fighting with each other. So we knew there was an issue, and there is an issue in society, really, how we kind of process anger or violence and awareness around it. So I was really passionate about creating a space where people could kind of unpack some of the things that they have got going on in their minds. I mean, we've got access to TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Shorts and things like this, where we're processing so much information, and we're in this period now where, sensationalism sells. So anything that's kind of got high impact or, is controversial, people will get views on it, right?
mm,
When we have that environment, what are we doing with our young people? Because there's no filter for that, right? And our young people are processing all this kind of stuff, and then they're going out practicing or doing that sort of stuff in the communities that they are. So the projects are creative projects, exploring um, kind of not radicalization. It's more about hate and violence, and how we can prevent ourselves from being caught up in that. And young people, I think, if they're equipped with the tools to know that they can actually walk away from a situation and not kind of be involved in peer pressure, they can do that when they do exercises in forum theatre and kind of have those discussions and explore those type of things. So I'm really excited about it. We just wrapped that up last week. We're just finishing off the edits for some of the filming that we did. But it was a great project. We had local mosques involved, kids from Moss Side, Hume, Wally Range, and I think it was really positive. And we're looking to grow that as well, hopefully, over the next couple of months.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is going really well. There's no doubt that people, the young people are going to get so much from that. Knowing what you do, I feel like I can say that. But just as like a wider context, do you think young people are getting access to the industry as easy as they should be getting access to the industry, or do you think it's difficult?
In the arts,
Yeah,
Pablo.
yeah, in the arts or just
Um,
creative sector. Interesting to know.
I think it's difficult. I think the industry for me, and I kind of, I think the industry is can be a very vulnerable space. So that's why I think, places like ours can prepare young artists to kind of understand what the processes are in terms of being a freelancer, setting yourself up as self-employed. Those back end type of things, we'll be having those kind of conversations and mentoring as well. But accessing the arts has become, it's changed now. The platforms change, where before the normal thing would be creating, I'm just talking about the the kind of theatre or film kind of aspect of the arts, right? Where you'd have a traditional pathway to that world. So that would be, getting an agent, or studying in theatre or studying in film, and then maybe writing CVs or sending a show reel into casting directors and things like this, and then maybe getting a small part and then progressing. That was all right 15, 20 years ago. It's completely different now. So I think the access to that people have, casting directors and young people, to opportunities is massive, because you'll notice people don't need the industry anymore. If they're big on YouTube, they're bigger than any of these stars. I remember when we were younger, we used to crave screen time. So we'd do stuff on TV and things, and we'd be like, yeah, I got a speaking part, or I got a 3-minute line and things like that. You can just set up a YouTube channel and have a subject matter, and you can have hours and hours of content as you want, and then you can have your own audience. So I think the kind of introduction into the creative industries is different now. People are a lot more in control, and I could probably name more YouTubers or influencers than actors or artists. And that's the world at the moment. People are getting invited to kind of places where it was like, oh no, this is like the kind of Mount Rushmore of my kind of career, and it's just different. So I think access wise, people are finding it a lot easier to get into the industry. What control they have over it is different, and I think when for me, I was really conscious going into the industry, is that when you start getting attention or fame or anything like this, it's a slow process. Whereas now it's like you could go viral and it's just massive. And then how do you process that? And I think people are more vulnerable to making mistakes. They don't have that guidance around them, and it's an exploitive industry. The media, things like that. They want to see people who have got 1, 2, 3 million followers fall, and because that makes news and it creates clicks. So I think the how fast social media has grown. I don't think we've grown as a community or a society with it as fast. I think there's so much learning that we can still do, and we can, if people who have the learning, they can teach that as well.
Yeah, and that's what you do as well. So you do training as well, don't you? I believe you have a.
Yeah, we've developed a lot of training around kind of just issues that affect people, whether it's kind of things about kind of working in the community with diverse communities, engaging certain audience engagement. We do training of what might be best to kind of engage them, but also things around leadership, racism, around mental health, and how we use our skills around mental health. We've got like a portfolio of workshops that we've created through the projects that we've done. So the projects normally might be, say for example, we've got a project called Arts and Minds, which is based around mental health and well-being. And what we would do is we wouldn't label it as a mental health project where people who are living with mental health conditions need to access it. It'll just be an arts project, but within it we would have practitioners that would be mental health experts and creatives that could explore kind of issues in a group setting, and then we would have fun kind of talking about that. And then that, from the learning from that, we would kind of create really kind of focused workshops around managing stress, anxiety, and things like that within the kind of workforce, really, or things that you might come across. So yeah, we've kind of created like a portfolio of it, and it'd be good, Pablo, if I could send those links to you, just as a something that might be good for people to be more aware of some of the workshops that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, send me anything you need the exposure for. That would be the thing. What you're doing is it's almost a one-stop shop. So anyone who feels like they align with what you're doing, either Muslim community or not, I suppose.
I think that's what, from what I found with us, is that there's a big issue with the South Asian community or the BAME community. Is about trust. Once you get trust, like what will happen is, Pablo, me and you know each other now. We work together and we trust each other. I will come to you to say, there's things I need a bit of help with this application or things like this. But then I might start asking you other support that I need, which is completely not related to your skill set, right? And that happens through trusted conversations. And you might signpost us to places and go, "This might be good to do." I find that's been happening with Alchemy quite a lot. People are coming in through the door through the arts around, or they might be coming through one of our initiatives around welfare rights, so around benefits checking and supporting around poverty and things like this. So they'll come into the door doing the welfare rights check, but then they'll suddenly go into kind of our work ready program, which is around supporting people into employment, or the work well program, where it's around supporting people who are in work and they might have some health conditions. So they kind of navigate into this one-stop shop. Then they could go into kind of creative arts projects or industry accelerators or anything like that. And I find that what sometimes at the early doors, I felt as though we might get mission drift and we go all over the place. But our focus has always been that we engage our communities with projects that they are passionate about or they want support with, but we do it in the medium of the arts. That's our kind of, I suppose, unique selling point, really, is that we engage these communities, but we do it in a creative, innovative way. And we feel, by using visual aids and creativity and media, that we're engaging our communities better. And I think that's why I think we've been really successful in terms of the partnerships that we've been working with. We've been commissioned consecutively by the Manchester City Council around the work and skills programs, because they realise that the issue with unemployment isn't just brown people are not applying for jobs. There's multiple complex needs in terms of people might have caring commitments, they might have issues with trauma or living arrangements or mixed families and things like this. There's huge kind of other issues going on. You're not in some windy place, are you, Pablo, where where there's kind of damage going on?
Walls falling down.
Yeah.
Just bear with me a sec. Let me sort that back out before we carry on.
Yeah, no problem.
Turn the camera on.
You need one of those assistants,
right? Holding the wall up.
Yeah. It's like Hollywood, but like a budget version. So it's
this is where the editing comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's flowing pretty well, and I've kind of gone through some of the stuff.
Yeah, I thought if I just ask you about perhaps the process that you found going through for funding.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of touch on that.
Okay. I made the mistake of getting too comfortable and leaning back. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Lean forward. Okay, you okay to carry on?
Yeah. So in terms of the application itself, I think it can be really daunting, and I think for me, I would procrastinate with the Arts Council funding quite a lot. I'd have projects in mind. We'd wrapped out, project that we did in 2022, the Muslim Arts Academy Part 1. We finished that, and then there was such a pause. I should have kind of been able to submit straight away, but because of my experience on the portal and just the whole kind of managing everything, I kind of was hesitant on it. So getting that support at the start was really important, and then getting the access support from you guys was essential. But I think the actual process of going through it was pretty smooth. But just the people might have apprehensions and kind of might find it a little bit daunting with the portals and things like this. But I think once you go through it step by step, I think it's really it becomes really I wouldn't say easy, but it becomes easier to navigate through. And I'm just glad that I did it. And there's so many different projects, aren't they, Pablo? Like in terms of which ones you can go for. So I think once you get familiar with the Arts Council and the portals and things like this, it becomes something that you think, okay, we can actually apply for different ones. But I find the process pretty smooth, and I think they've been really helpful as well. I would ring them up and say to them, "This is what the situation is. This is what we're looking at," and I'd get pretty good support. And like I said with Carol Boardman, I kind of hit the jackpot really with just getting a quite dedicated support for it, and that was quite game changing really.
Yeah, I think that's fair comment, to be honest. I think, as you say, once you're familiar with what the Arts Council are looking for, the different grants that are open, and they've just opened a couple new grants as well. So once you're in that sort of space of understanding what they want, then it does make things a lot easier. I think what they could do, in regards to the actual portal, I mean, everyone complains about the portal, and it is dated now, and hopefully it'll be updated at some point. But what I think would be quite nice to do is more training on their granting portal. And when we're doing access support for people, what we try to do in a roundabout way is almost give them the advice or training, very informal training, on the granting portal at the same time. So if they didn't get access support again, or they wanted to go for it, just have a go themselves, then at least they're familiar to some extent with the portal. Because if you're logging into that portal as the first step to then even consider getting the funding, and you're just met with like this quite old system and it's clunky system, you need it to be as smooth as possible for you even to start to think about, oh yeah, this is something I could go
I think I think another thing I would say is the staggered or the continuous access support. That might be something that we should look at. Or I don't know whether it's how we approach it, because it's not just at the start of the application that you have to engage with the grantium. You've also got the grant report. Like we've got the grant report now that we're having to kind of fill in and do it. And I'm just looking at it thinking, when I see the email, I just find it daunting, thinking, I have to go and navigate through that again. And then you've got the end of grant report, so you're still having to kind of go through those processes. And I know you're going to have, you've got some funding and you have some people in the team and things like this, but sometimes it really helps to have the consistency with people that you're used to working with, you've written the application with, they understand it, to kind of have them on that journey with you. I don't know what you think about that, Pablo, because that would be a real help as well.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because it's usually you have to put down how many days worth of work, for access support, and I mean, I think some people stick to that quite firmly. So once that time's up, then they back away from giving the support. I think other people allow that support to sort of just drag on. Well, drag on's the wrong word, but just continue until the job's done, basically. But to be able to set perhaps a period of time, 6 months, and just say, okay, we're within that 6 months, whatever support's needed, then that you have access to it, no matter if it's once a month or once a week or a couple of
I think with this, it's not it wouldn't be taxing on it, because the work's already been done at the back end. It's just the navigation of the portal, and I think it would probably be a couple of hours midway through, and then a couple of hours at the end, really. And it's an admin thing that we can do, but I just think that would be good, and I think we should ask for it or put it in, really, that we do it, because sometimes the project might be delayed. You might have a halfway report after 6 months, and you might not engage that. We might not have touch base or anything like that in between, and it's like we'll need a bit of support, or we'll need support after 12 months for it. So having that put in and kind of earmarked for that specific thing, I think that would be good, because like I said, once you build the trust with a company that you work with, and like we work with you, I'd rather just keep working with that in sections. But I think it's something that we can explore, but all in all, like I said, massively positive with everything.
Well, it from our side, in regards to the support, it was very smooth. And I guess just to wrap things up now, it's you know, I think it was Karen who said there's nothing else like what you're doing happening anywhere else. So you're the first of its
Yeah.
kind. I think it was Karen who said that. Um, you know, I mean, that's an achievement. That's something to be proud of, just to say that no one else is doing what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I think for us, we are the first dedicated academy, or the idea of it, in the world, actually. Because but what people are doing is the arts becomes a space where everything goes and everything's allowed, and we should let everyone in, no restrictions about anything. But by doing that, you are alienating a community. So for me to kind of, and like I said, we're not a religious organization, but we have to understand that the background that I'm from, the background a lot of the directors are from, the background of the beneficiaries that we're serving are people who are from the Muslim communities or background. So by creating a space and knocking down the kind of the myths around Muslim communities being involved in the arts, it was massive, and it is a barrier. So you'll get people who try to um, it's almost like kind of, it's popular to say, oh yeah, this is a Muslim kind of things like that. For us, I wanted to get scholars on board straight away from the beginning to kind of define what's permissible and what's not, because that's where the blurred lines come in. Really, you might have an event or certain activities in the arts where we might be um, not privy to, or not maybe feel comfortable with being involved in. But can we confidently say that, and can the our partners and kind of stakeholders and things like that, can they respect that as well? And that's the challenge, and that's what we're putting up. And that's why it was so important for me to say that we don't want to compromise our faith and ethics. The idea is for the audience members and the participants and the beneficiaries to not compromise their faith and ethics. They could be in a space without feeling like, oh, I don't know if I should be here or not. So that's why, you've seen the application, Pablo, around where we kind of inserted the principles of the academy. So we have certain rules that people might have, like, to enter this realm or this academy. Some people have no smoking, no drinking, no all that kind of stuff. These are the same principles, but we just have it, the principles of the academy. And I think that's what makes it unique. We actually say this is what we are, and we can't, like, kind of there's no way of kind of coming in through the back door saying, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then kind of um, alienate other people. We have a quite a rigid space, but it means more people can access that and trust it. Um, and that's what I'm massively passionate about. I know this will be a bigger legacy than what I've kind of set up. The idea is that it will get people take the baton on and carry it on in years to come. But it was important for me to kind of take that first step and create that the first of its kind, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're doing is incredible. We try not to work with anyone who don't feel like the project is worthwhile. And this was clearly, when you got in touch with us, like, it was really appreciated, because it was great to work on a project which is doing something that aligns with what we try to do around access and audiences. And it's very clear that people are getting like the benefit from what you're doing. So it's
Yeah,
I think
I'm excited about it, Pablo, because we're in that mobilization phase of it now, of kind of getting all the socials out and things like that. So keep an eye out for it. That we've got a website for it now, that we're waiting for it to be kind of updated. It's the www.muslimartistacademy.com. So I'll share that link as well,
yeah.
that people could kind of keep up to date with everything. But yeah, I think, yeah, massively proud of that. And I think there's other projects that we've done around support for communities and reclaiming narratives with the Heritage Lottery, and I think that's probably our next kind of project now. We've done projects like Forgotten Soldiers, about Muslim soldiers in World War One and Two. We've done a project with Heritage called In Search of Rumi, where we reclaim the narrative of this kind of amazing scholar, and the stories that he would tell, and the poetry that he had. So I think there's other parts of history that we want to kind of explore that kind of gels with things that are important for people in our communities today as well. So that's a big thing for us.
Big thing, lots of work, lots of good work
Lots of work,
coming up.
lots of lots of great work. And just Pablo, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys, really, and all the work that you guys are doing. Just I found it really amazing just to kind of explore ideas, and the support and the patience that you had with me during the application. I know we went a bit longer than we possibly anticipated at the start, but just thank you for that. Really, I think that support really reflects well on the Arts Council and you guys, really, as maybe an organisation that supports gives help with access support. So just thank you for that, Pablo.
No, it was my pleasure. As I say, it was really nice to work on that project. So more of it.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Definitely.
really appreciate the time. Great to catch up again. I'm sure we'll be.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure we'll
And
catch
and,
up again.
and if you want to do anything like this again on different topics or subjects, things like that, I'm more than happy to be involved. And I hope massive success for this venture and disconnected bodies to kind of go forward in the future as well. But let me know, Pablo, anytime you need anything, just give me a shout and we'll be there.
Amazing. Great stuff. I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.
Thanks,
See you later.
Thank you. Bye.